Hey Soul Tribe, my name's Deborah. My channel, this is Capricorn Soul Tribe Tarot. I'm going to put this video out for members only to see this first. This will be our astrology, okay? The book that I will be using is Astrology for the Soul by Jan Spiller. I will put the link in the description box where you can get this book if you don't have it. All right. It's an excellent book. And our subject tonight is North Node in Virgo. Okay. The North Node has no planetary significance at all. I think I forgot to tell y'all that in some of the other videos, but this is the last of the earth signs. We're going to do air next. Okay. North Node has no planetary affiliations. Okay. The North Node represents what you need to know to be in your life purpose. Okay. Virgo is, so whatever, God, y'all, I can't talk. Whatever, like if you're a Virgo, your opposite sign is Pisces. So your South Node is Pisces and your North Node is Virgo. You want to go to your North Node to be in your life purpose. Your North Node also symbolizes where you're going in this lifetime. It reveals in this book, best book I've ever seen, reveals your the energy you need to harness in order to fulfill your soul's purpose. Okay, if you're on a spiritual journey. All right. Virgo in this book, North Node in Virgo and North Node in the 6th house. The 6th house is the house of work and health. Virgo represents the planet Mercury. This is health, vitality, well-being, fitness, daily routine, diet, hygiene, habits, structure, schedule, duty, tasks, healing, volunteer and humanitarian work, employment, necessary work, service, pets, and small creatures. So this is going to be about Virgo in the 6th house, the house of work and health. Okay. This book will, like I said, it will serve as an audio book. You guys want to get the book, you're welcome to it. I will put the links in the description box where you can find this book. I also know a used bookstore. I will put that in there for you guys to get the book. It's a lot less expensive. Okay? All right, let's get to it. Oh, one more thing. If you don't know what your North Node is, you go to astrologycafe.com. I can put that in there for you too when I finish the video. And you put in your name, date of birth, time of birth. You don't have to know your time of birth for your North Node, and it will tell you what your North Node is. That way you know what your South Node is. So your South Node is Pisces, and you want to go towards your North Node, which is in Virgo. Okay, that's where you want to go. All right, let's get to this. Let's get to it, guys. North Node in Virgo and North Node in the 6th house. Overview. Attributes to develop. Work in these areas can help uncover hidden gifts and talents, which are participation, bringing order to chaos, creating routines, focusing on the here and now, acting on feelings of compassion, being of service to others, analyzing and categorizing, gaining self-confidence through experience, moderation, taking risks in spite of fears, noticing and valuing details. Okay. Tendencies to leave behind. Working to reduce the influence of these tendencies can help make life easier and more enjoyable. Being a victim or having victim consciousness, confusion and disorientation, avoidance of planning, escapism, addictive tendencies such as drug, alcohol, excessive sleep, daydreaming, etc. Extremism, oversensitivity, self-doubt, feelings of inadequacy, withdrawal, vagueness, not wanting to commit or inaction, giving up. Okay, Achilles Heel trap. This is the Achilles Heel trap to avoid the bottom line. Virgo North Node Achilles Heel is victim consciousness. If I don't have constant, compassionate attention In understanding from others, someone will take advantage of me, but it's a bottomless pit. Others can never give them enough reassurance to overcome their inner sense of helplessness and paranoia. Excuse me. Only when they look within can they discover what outer structures they need to create in order to give themselves strength and purpose. The trap they must avoid is an unending search for a savior or a mentor whom they can trust blindly and to whom they can surrender. If only I can surrender enough, God will put things in order. However, life has shown them that inward surrender will not make the external world orderly and productive. The only way they can achieve their goals is to organize their lives and in the way they need to be so they will feel safe and strong. The bottom line is that they'll never feel they have enough confidence to go into the world and do something productive. At some point, they simply have to begin actively participating in life. The irony is that when they begin to participate and learn what leads to successful results, they will gain the confidence they seek. What these people really want. What these people really want is to be lost in the security blanket of their own personal connection with the universe. They want to let go into something larger than themselves that will support them and give them an expanded sense of identity. Virgo North Node people have an insatiable need to experience peace and oneness. But to successfully attain this goal, they must go into the world and be of service to others. As they shift attention from their own fears and focus instead on the here and now, they can easily see how to restore order in situations of chaos. These people make excellent doctors, dentists, nurses, or nurses' aides because such professions give them the opportunity to use their healing energies while being of service in practical ways. Psychologists, healer, dietitian, accountant, organizer, and craftsperson are also good choices. Virgo North Node people have good karma on the job and get along well with co-workers and employees. They can accomplish a task in 1 hour that might take another person 5. They could be in a situation where getting the job done is honored rather than simply working for an hourly wage. Another reason the healing professions are excellent in choices is that these jobs deal with the physical nuts and bolts of life. In fields where success is so dependent on paying attention to detail, Virgo North Node people are forced to stay in the present. For them, the process of physically creating order relieves psychological stress. So you guys like order in your life, or you need to be that way if you're not in your North Node. Let's read that again. Virgo North Node people are forced to stay in the present. For them, the process of physically creating order relieves psychological stress. I can relate to that. Virgo North Node people also have compassion and a capacity to remain aware of the larger picture. These past life gifts of spiritual awareness are an asset when Virgo North Node actively participates in creating tangible results. However, professions in which the goal is the attainment of spiritual consciousness and forgiveness tend to undermine the grounding these people need to feel strong and complete. Healing affirmations specific to Virgo North Node. I'm the only person who can put this situation in order, so I might as well do it. This is not a victim lifetime. Not a victim lifetime. This is not a victim lifetime. When I withdraw, I lose. When I participate in creating positive results, I win. When I focus and have a plan, the whole universe opens the pathway to success. Personality, past lives. These people have an innate awareness of the spiritual dimension of life and are attuned to the higher, lovelier realms of their own natures. They are extremely sensitive, easily wounded, and very careful to avoid causing pain to others. In fact, they are sometimes more aware of and concerned about other people's suffering than the people are themselves. Dissolution of ego. Virgo North Node people have a history of many lifetimes spent in dissolution of the ego, either through meditation and spiritual quests, drug or alcohol abuse, confinement and time to reflect in convents, prisons, or asylums, or losing themselves in music, poetry, or art. No matter how the dissolution occurred, in this life they must deal with the effects. If it occurred through spiritual orientation, this lifetime will be total confusion until they find a spiritual path with principles similar to those of incarnations. If it occurred through the use of drugs or alcohol, these people will have addictive tendencies in this lifetime that may again be problematic and have to be overcome from a spiritual perspective. The 12-step programs of Alcoholics Anonymous, etc. Talents with poetry, music, and art may still remain as a way of connecting with lofty emotional states. These people have had many ethereal experiences and incarnations which they gave up bits and pieces of their own identity in order to merge with a higher energy. But they have completed that process. Allowing themselves to dissolve any further in this lifetime is counterproductive. They have already yielded to being absorbed in their vision. In this lifetime, they want to manifest their vision in the physical world. Humility. In past life experiences, these people purified themselves by questioning their own motives and recognizing where they were lacking in virtue, thereby gaining a tremendous amount of insight that now allows them to be non-judgmental towards others. In this lifetime, they don't consider themselves superior in any way. Their introspection has resulted in true humility. Virgo North Node people have had so many victim lifetimes that they tend to give up too easily. They don't do well with confrontation, competition, or any strong reactions against them. Their psyches are very sensitive and life can seem harsh to these folks. In general, they don't believe that more stuff is going to make them happier. Since their motivation for living is not to gain material things, if the world seems to resist their efforts to participate, they have a tendency to simply give up. Because of past lives of being taken advantage of, when these people produce a creative work, it is not uncommon to find that they have allowed to be publicly distributed without any compensation, or that someone else has taken both the credit and the money. Often they don't even mind. After all, the work fulfilled the service it was intended for. Also, in past life monastic experiences in a monastery, they may have taken a vow of poverty and thus feel uneasy about accumulating wealth in this incarnation. Subconsciously, they may feel that there is something impure about accumulating money. They need to recognize that money is a byproduct of service, a barometer of the useful of their participation. Virgo North Node people are truly compassionate and want to help whenever they can. In this lifetime, they need to recognize that by creating solid material basis and allowing their lives to become strong, they are in a better position to help on a wider scale. In this lifetime, to allow themselves to be victims does not work. Resisting this tendency is the higher road for them. Diffusion versus focus. These people have had many past lifetimes shut away from society. They are not accustomed to being in this world. Consider what it would be like to live many lifetimes in monasteries where gongs signal the times for rising, meditation, prayers, exercise, eating, working, and sleeping, and someone else is ringing them. Monasteries function in this way so that the participants can gain an awareness of timelessness, formlessness, and the flow that underlies the mundane details of life. While this works very well in a monastery, now Virgo North Node people need to learn how to live in the world. They must learn how to set routines for themselves, how to ring their own gongs, for instance, because they are accustomed to having someone else organize their time, they may have trouble being punctual. However, when they summon the self-discipline to live by the rules that give structure to society, they gain tremendous power and the self-confidence they need to function in the world. Thus, it is important for them to take charge and make sure they are on time for their appointments. Structure gives order and stability to their lives in ways that are nurturing and supportive. Owing to the seclusion of their past lives, Virgo North Node people know how to entertain themselves with the power of their minds and imaginations. But what worked in the past is actually a detriment in this incarnation, where they need to produce positive, practical, tangible results in the material world. Thus, all forms of escapism are counterproductive for them. Daydreaming, drugs, alcohol, too much solitude, excessive sleeping, any form of withdrawal from life undermines their confidence. This is not to say that they can't occasionally enjoy themselves, relax, and take a break from dealing with the nuts and bolts of life, but they must guard against overdoing avenues of escape to the point of forming addictions. Imagination, daydreams, and fantasy. These people have an acute awareness of the psychic and or imaginative realms from their past lives. If these talents are not now directed properly, they can become a weakness, resulting in paranoia, fear, and anxiety. However, when Virgo North Node people work towards a goal, their mystical talents can be used as tools to get the job done effectively. If there is an outlet for their creative imaginations, a service to provide for others, their visionary abilities can be a marvelous asset. Virgo North Node people should keep their creative imaginations flowing outward by serving others and producing tangible results, rather than inward with undirected self-examination. They need to go through the hard work necessary to make their visions real by doing the research, organizing the project, producing it, and then seeing that it gets distributed. Getting the job done is easy and joyful in this lifetime once they define their goal. What these folks need to avoid is a tendency to daydream and fantasize. Through daydreaming, they can connect with delicate, ethereal states of consciousness, almost as if they were on a bliss drug in some billowy realm. However, this state defeats their ability to function in the material world. If they're not happy with their situation, instead of working to change it, they tend to use fantasy to escape into their own world. If used in moderation, these fantasies can actually give them a better idea of what they want, but it can take tremendous discipline to break the energy connection of the fantasy. It's so addictive that it's better for these folks to simply avoid indulging in deep fantasy. They can become so attached to otherworldly states of bliss that it prevents them from establishing the order and fulfillment in their daily lives that they need to experience true bliss. For example, they might become so involved in a fantasy involving family that it would prevent them from creating satisfying family relationships in their own lives. I had a 48-year-old male client with this nodal position who had a fantasy of the ideal woman, and given the power of his fantasy, she was almost a reality in his imagination. He became involved in many relationships but couldn't really commit because none of the women matched the woman in his fantasy. This had been going on for 30 years, and he was still living alone and feeling depressed. Unfortunately, he deprived himself still of the opportunity to learn what relationships are all about by not focusing on how he actually felt in response to women he spent time with. In this way, fantasy can prevent these folks from taking constructive action to make their dreams come true in the physical realm. Confusion versus counseling. Virgo North Node people sometimes lapse into a confused state of consciousness. For many people, confusion can be good, a prelude to a higher order. But these folks' confusion is not on path. When they become confused, they begin questioning themselves and doubting everything they are doing, which undermines their current course of action. They need to turn away from the confused energy, refocus on circumstances in the outer world that trigger the confusion, and they re-enter the situation and restore it to order. For example, if they become confused about a backlog of paperwork, their best bet is to sit down and go through the papers, physically handle them, and reorganize them in a way that makes sense to them. If they are confused about the behavior of a coworker, they should face it head on, talk to the person, and find out what is altering his or her behavior. When experiencing a problem, a Virgo North Node people usually benefit from going to a therapist or talking things out with a friend because the interaction enables them to gain a more practical perspective. Their imaginations are so active that on their own they tend to exaggerate problems and imagine all kinds of unresolvable situations. Their imagined fears can paralyze them from taking the steps that would restore order in their lives. So it is very helpful for them to get feedback as to whether the fears are based in reality or the product of an overactive imagination. Virgo North Node people are much more successful when they actively experiment to see what does and does not work on a practical level. They should not try to figure it out all in their heads. If Virgo North Node people feel they are losing their boundaries in a relationship and are having difficulty communicating their frustrations to their partner, then they may want to bring in a third party. They can be so sensitive to not wanting to hurt their partner that they may avoid the approach that would actually get through. The partner may need to hear, "Stop. This behavior is not acceptable. If you continue this behavior, you will push me to the point where I will leave." A marriage counselor can be a valuable ally in communicating with their partner. These folks actually make excellent counselors themselves, professionally and with their friends. Often others feel tremendous empathy and naturally trust them. Virgo North Node people have an energy that induces other people to confide in them, an analytical mind that enables them to give clear, practical advice, and a remarkable ability to combine intuition with common sense. We have vagueness versus detail. These people are so used to maintaining an awareness of the larger picture that they can easily overlook the details of the here and now. This can cause them to take actions that are not in their best interests, but as long as they pay attention to the actual details of any situation, they are very seldom deceived. When they allow themselves to live in an unfocused state, they often start to feel anxious without knowing why. They may even feel vulnerable to attack, becoming overly suspicious and fearful of other people. In those moments, if they can just remember to focus on the details of what is going on around them, the clothes that someone's wearing, the details in a store window display, how the temperature of the air feels on their face, etc., they calm down and feel secure again. Past life fears versus the here and now. Virgo North Node people have learned the consequences of breaking the law in past lives, so in this incarnation they may have a strong sense of right and wrong and an absolute phobia about breaking the law. They have a long history of superstition and may have many ideas about certain omens that should be followed to avoid a fearsome punishment. But looking for omens distracts them from noticing common sense details. They have had so many past life experiences with spiritual messages that they enter this lifetime looking for premonitions and ignore what is happening on a tangible level. Rather than watching for omens, these folks are better off observing the physical facts and getting direct feedback from others to confirm that they are on the right track. If they fear that something is out of order, rather than withdrawing, their best bet is to step forward and participate, enlist the support of others, face the fear, and create an environment that prevents the worst-case scenario from happening. As a simple example, rather than fearing that their telephone will be turned off, it is much better to set a regular time each month for paying the bills. These folks excel in activities that will bring them into the here and now. Bookkeeping is good for them because they know their own financial situation at any given time. It is very empowering for them to be able to pull out their records and see what they had last year and how it compares to this year. It gives them a powerful sense of grounding, orientation, and confidence. Whatever keeps Virgo North Node people focused in the moment becomes a labor of love for them. Their jobs can have that effect on them. If not, they should reconsider their line of work. Computers can be excellent for them because, once again, the physical involvement and details keep them focused in the present moment. They excel at and are very happy with anything that requires paying attention to details in order to produce successful results. Self-doubt and anxiety versus faith. Self-doubt and anxiety versus faith and action. There is an aspect to Virgo North Node people that is very introverted and introspective. When they feel anxiety, they turn inward for solace and understanding. Unfortunately, they have no external checks for this inner process, and there's no end to the anxiety, doubt, and suspicion that they can access. These people also have a tendency to go off by themselves and look back over their lives to see where they went wrong. But this can lead to a tremendous feeling of failure, totally out of proportion to the facts. When they retreat and reflect, they are trying to understand things, but this practice simply does not work for them. They need to avoid self-doubt at all costs. One of the worst things Virgo North Node people can do is doubt the purity of their goal. By the time they have gotten a clear picture of their objective, they have already run it through a rigorous process in their own mind to make sure it has a pure motive, is harmless, and will be of service to others. In this lifetime, they are finding out how their vision can work on the practical level. It is healthy for them to use a process of trial and error, as this helps them discover what makes things work in the material realm. These folks cling to the idea that when they encounter chaos, they can work it out and rise above it inwardly, and the situation will resolve itself outwardly. This creates frustration for those who are anticipating that the Virgo North Node person will become actively involved in solving the problem. They don't understand when these folks remove themselves. It also creates frustration for people with this nodal position as they feel misunderstood and don't comprehend why their system isn't working. However, in this lifetime, they aren't able to resolve their problems by turning inward. From an astrological point of view, resolution must come through external action. Virgo North Node people also tend to invalidate themselves with feelings of inadequacy, which can really lead to a downward spiral. Sometimes they intuitively pick up a problem in advance or feel anxious about their relationship with a person or the outcome of a situation but don't know why. If they focus on the anxiety, they imagine all kinds of worst-case scenarios and begin to interpret outer events selectively in ways that validate their paranoia. Then, to regain a sense of inner balance and fight back their fear, they begin to doubt their intuitive response. Either way, using their minds to invalidate or invalidate their fears does not work. What does work is reaching outside themselves for more objective information. In fact, these folks' intuitions are generally correct. For example, imagine that when they went to work, they left a window open, a detail they didn't consciously notice, but perhaps saw out of the corner of their eye. Suddenly it starts to rain, and they become irrationally anxious about home, visualizing a burglar breaking in or a fire starting. They are fearful about their home and don't know why. The solution is to return home, where they will probably notice the open window and rain coming in. The situation around which they feel is anxious is accurate, and when they check out the details objectively, they can see the problem in a way that empowers them to resolve it, such as closing the window. They should neither invalidate their intuition nor indulge their fears, but rather physically face the situation and analyze the facts, seeking more information if they need it. Virgo North Node people tend to have more faith in what they want to do, and faith for them is best built through action. Faith is a gift from their past lives. Through their experiences with surrender and seeing the larger vision, they gain faith in the moment-to-moment unfolding of daily living. In this lifetime, they know innately that all is well and everything is happening as it should. And they gain peace of mind and confidence from remembering this. For example, I had a client with North Node in Virgo who lost her job. She used anxiety to boost herself into action. Although she had 3 months to find another position, she immediately started looking. She found 2 positions and chose the one that fulfilled her idealistic picture of the ease of working in the suburbs instead of the city. After 10 days on the job, she realized she had made a mistake and called to reapply for the first job. After much trouble and reluctance, they did accept her, but she was glad she went through the experience. If I had immediately worked at the city clinic, I wouldn't have appreciated it. I wonder if I would have been happier in the suburbs. This way I know. The ability to see how everything is working in one's ultimate favor is based on faith